got Mutants, an interesting concept with Virtual World, and more Swordsoul. Let's take a peep at this, shall we? You guys especially click that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Alright, so the first list we have up for you guys here on OCG Thursday is actually a take on Mutants. Now remember, the OCG just recently got this stuff, so to see that this stuff is working out for them actually is pretty awesome here. We have, well, taking advantage of this, a very small Thunder package so that we can produce Colossus here and create some interesting waves with this. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, one Celestial, one Dasher, triple copies of Dimension Shifter, triple copies of Maxi, one copy of Arsenal, two copies of Beast, triple copies of MO5, triple copies of ST46, triple copies of Thunder Dragon Dark, one Dragon Hawk, one Dragon Roar, two copies of Emergency Teleport, triple copies of Fusion Destiny, one copy of the Mutant Fusion, triple copies of Pot of Prosperity, triple copies of Crackdown, and triple copies of Mutant Cry here. Wrapping up the main deck. Interesting to see that we are pulling out some of the best stops here with Crackdown. The OCG really loves this card. Alright, like, in a Dragoonless format, this card just must be pure gas. And in the extra, we have one Vertanaconda, one Unicorn, one Dagda, one copy of Almarduke, one Colossus, one Starving Venom, one Dragostapelia, one Ultimateness, triple copies of Synthesis, one copy, two copies of Elysium, one Add Ignis to Earth, and one Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Side deck here we have two Scythe, one copy of Farbeast Philister, one Lightning Storm, two Super Poly, triple Artifact Sanctum, triple copies of Evenly Match, and triple copies of There Can Only Be One here. Wrapping up Thunder Dragon Mutant with a splash of the Destiny Hero package. Oddly enough, I think that this might be one of the more interesting builds that I've seen. I mean, look, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. A 5-card Splash Thunder engine gets you that much of a result to produce a walking floodgate. Aren't you guys legal that we don't have something like this in our format? Because that's kind of dumb. Next up here is Unchained. Now, this is one of the first times I've seen Unchained getting the chance to do something here. And I think the thing that I like most about this is Destroy Phoenix Enforcer effectively is a trigger point for all of these good cards. Granted, you know, once you Fusion Destiny, you're locked for that turn, so you won't be able to immediately trigger on that window. But during your opponent's turn, it's kind of just free game to do whatever you want. And that's going to be something that you're going to want to consider here as, you know, you're doing Unchained shenanigans during your opponent's turn. I mean, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer with double application seems pretty good to me. So we have two copies of Abominable Unchained Soul, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, one Dark Spirit of Banishment, one Celestial with the one Dasher, triple copies of Maxi, only two copies of Tour Guide, which is fine, one Unchained Soul of Disaster, triple copies of Aruha, triple copies of Rikia, and two copies of Sarama. Then we have triple copies of Abomination's Prison, two copies of Called by the Grave, two Forbidden Droplets, triple copies of Fusion Destiny, triple copies of Spot of Extravagance. Hey, see it this way. You gotta max out and get however expensive that this card ends up being here, just so that you can play triple copies. It's the same logic with triple access Code Talker and some of these extra decks that actually end up making it. But I mean, hey, free draw power. We have triple copies of Abominable Chamber of the Unchained and triple copies of Escape of the Unchained. Then we have triple copies of Soul of Rage, one copy of Soul of Anguish, one Vertanaconda, two copies of Unicorn, one copy of IP, one Access Code Talker, the one Zombie Stein, one Zeus with the one DDD Stone King Darius, triple copies of Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, with two Cycle Reader, two Lancia, one Ghost Spell, two copies of Token Collector, one Harpy's Featherduster, two Anti-Spell Fragrance, triple copies of Massacre Strict, and two copies of Skill Drain. Isn't it really cute knowing that you can just side into Skill Drain and just not give a crap about what your opponent does? Destruction Engine. Next up here, we have the first Unchained, or excuse me, the first list of Swordsoul here. So we have a built-in Auroradon combo here. We have built-in token generation to put the Omni Negate on the field. And yes, we can make Too Dang Long Dragon to mess with the opponent. There's a lot going on here in this deck. So it's all just a bunch of moving parts to produce Omni Negates and build relatively huge boards. Like, the fact that I can produce this or this is kind of disgusting, actually. So we have triple copies of Aquamancer of the Sanctuary, one copy of Arch Nemesis Protoss, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, one copy of Chi Wen, one copy of Jet Synchron, one copy of Giotto, triple copies of Myutant, triple copies of Maxi, 2 copies of Orion, 1 copy of Taie, triple copies of Arahara, 2 copies of Ashuna, 2 copies of Vishuda, and then 1 copy of the Griffin Rider. And then we have 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 2 copies of Crossout Designator, 1 Dracoback, 1 Foolish Barrel, 2 Forbidden Droplets, 1 Journey Destiny, triple copies of Rite of Armesia, 1 copy of the Dragon's Sword Appears, and 1 copy of the 9 Pillars. During the next trick, we have 1 Almirage, 2 copies of Monk, 1 copy of Auroradon, 1 Hawk, 1 copy of Tomahawk, Must Be Nice, OCG, 1 copy of Yazi, 1 Draco Berserker, 1 Danglong, 1 Xiao, 1 copy of Cheying, with 1 copy of Chao Fang, 1 Boral Sword, Mr. Negate, Bon Boxy, 1 Baroness, or Barony de Fleur. Thank you, name changes. Then we have 2 Lancia, 1 Droll, 1 Ecclesia, 2 Nibiru, 2 copies of Skullmeister, 1 Harpy's Feathers, 1 Lightning Storm, 2 copies of Evenly Matched, 2 copies of Impermanence, and 1 copy of Red Rebuto. Wrapping up Swordsoul Synchro Turbo. Wow, we really can do everything if we put our mind to it. I'm actually kind of disgusted with how good this looks on paper. Next up here, this is Trap Swordsoul. This is something that I kind of wanted to mess around with here in the TCG. I definitely find it interesting that you'll be able to just produce active back row here and mess up the opponent's day. Much similar to, you know, Trap, Tri-Brigade. Basically, your 1-card engines do everything that you want it to do. So we have triple copies of Vash Blossom and Joy Spring, 1 Celestial, 1 Dasher, triple copies of Ecclesia the Virtuous in white, triple copies of Long Yon, 1 copy of Maxi, hey, it's a crossout target, triple copies of Moyi, and 2 copies of Taie. And then we have 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 2 copies of Crossout Designator, triple copies of Fusion Destiny, triple copies of the Dragon's Sword Appears. Then we have 2 Compulse, 2 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison, 1 of Pure Order, triple copies of Solemn Judgment, 2 copies of Solemn Warning, 1 copy of Vanity's Emptiness, and 2 copies of Sudden Shift here, wrapping up the main deck. Interesting enough, this also acts as a blowout card and a target for the Crossout Designator here. Once again, standard trap applications, ladies and gentlemen. We have 1 Verte Anaconda, 1 copy of Zeus, 1 copy of Senshin, 1 copy of Ruddy Rose, 1 Draco Berserker, 1 Crimson Blader, 2 copies of the Qizhao, 1 copy of the Chengying, 1 Boxia, 2 Boxia, 1 copy of Baroness, 1 Dragite, 1 Dragostapillion, and 1 Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Then we have 2 Lancia, 1 Pankratops, 1 Ghost Ogre, 2 Retaliating Seas, triple copies of Dark Will No More, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Raigeki, 2 Super Poly, and 2 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance here. Wrapping up Trap Swordsoul. And like I said, I definitely like the application behind this deck. Especially kind of how everything ends up rounding out for like perfect ratios. I mean, hey, Compulse of all weird things actually looking very solid here for a choice. The last list I have for you guys here is Virtual World taking advantage of the Omni Negate. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached peak Virtual World performance here. So we have 2 copies of Aquamancer of the Sanctuary, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 1 copy of Fairy Tale Snow, 2 copies of Nyan, triple copies of Lily, triple copies of Lulu, triple copies of Lala, triple copies of Gigi, 1 copy of the Griffin Rider. Hey, Omni Negates are good. 2 copies Called by the Grave, 1 Dracoback, 2 copies of Emergency Teleport, 1 Journey of Destiny, 2 Prosperity, 2 Rite of Armesia, triple copies of Kowloon, triple copies of Qinglong, 1 copy of Imperial Order, 1 copy of Vanity's Emptiness, 2 copies of Chuchi, and 1 copy of Zhuan Wu. In the next trick, we have 1 Fen, 1 copy of the Break Sword, 1 Utopia Beyond, 1 Gaia Dragon Charger, 1 Zeus, 1 M7, and the 1 Beatrice, with the 1 copy of Senshin, 1 copy of Jiu, 1 Stardust Charge, 1 Ruddy Rose, the 1 Quandrax, the 1 Coral Dragon, the 1 copy of the Chengying, and then we have 1 copy of Baroness de Fleur. Then we have triple copies of Droll and Lockbird, triple copies of Maxi, 1 Token Collector, triple copies of Hadoken, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Lightning Storm, 1 MST, and 1 copy of Red Rebuto, wrapping up this chunk of OCG deck profiles. Are you guys surprised to see like all the cool, crazy innovations and really the pure toxicity that you kind of see generated here with a generic Omni Negate? Just kind of how popular Yu-Gi-Oh! Trends go here, now that you can summon yourself and, well, negate with your trusty Griffin. Right? Yeah, interesting times. Guys, please leave a comment below to what you guys think. Smash the like button, subscribe, so you guys don't miss out on more else content. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here later on today with some more cool else content. Peace out, guys. Have a Thank you, patrons, for making the ride never truly end. Without you guys' support, well, I would probably be doing Truffle Shuffle videos for a living. Guys, please check out VanCole40 for all of your Cardfight Vanguard content brought to you by MCole40. And if you are looking to pick up singles, check out mcolegames.com for your trading card game needs. Thanks for watching, everybody.